In several of my discussions with CEOs and senior members in the organization, I have seen a huge amount of discontent which is in them, which is related to the capability development within the organization and how is that aligned with the organization goals. So this content often comes out in the form of our L&D department is not working good enough, or our people are not growing fast, the rate at which we want them to internalize things. Our people just don't understand what I'm telling them to do. The strategy doesn't shift. Various languages are used for this thing. It's very important for an organization to understand and align the capability development with the organization goals. Now, how does one do that, and why is it so difficult to do this alignment? Let's spend some time on it. Classically, I have seen often that capability development as a function is headed by people who are largely HR oriented, and therefore such people quickly convert the whole thing into the concept of competencies and the HR KPIs, and then they will translate into some kind of a development plan, get a lot of buy-in for this, and then focus on this. This is one, and then when they focus on it and when they look at the delivery, then they look at the L&D strategies around it, and they will design excellent workshops, and then kind of, the whole process works. There is a fundamental flaw in this process, and the fundamental flaw starts from the fact that this is often treated as a project or an event, and then a calendar is rolled out and a work separate functions, separate programs, and people are asked to nominate, and it doesn't happen like this. It doesn't happen. Capability development doesn't happen like this. Some workshops can happen like this, some programs can happen like this, but capability development is largely an individual thing. So if you look back as to capability development, where does it happen, why does it happen, when does it happen, you will see that there are three things every CEO who has perhaps been through a B school or not been through a B school, they would have gone through a series of things which help them develop. One of them is they would have worked with people who are experts in their field, and those people then further teach the CEO. The second, those people are extremely aware of things. They have been to various different countries, they have seen various different projects being done, they have had a wide experience, and this exposure helps them in crystallizing their own thought process. And very often, I wouldn't say education as in a process of gathering certificates, but they are people who have really been through a lot of learning and education. They have really educated themselves. People can learn from books, they can learn from movies, they can learn from various scenarios. One need not necessarily have an MBA or a business school or an engineering college teaching education. Education can happen in various formats. So a mix of these three helps an individual over time, and this time is not a period of 1 year. It's a very long duration period. Now, when I look at organizations, what I've also seen is that classically There's an organization goal for the year or for the next 5 years. Then there are um, department or function level goals, and then these are translated into individual level goals. On the other hand, when we are looking at capability development works exactly reverse of this. First, what will happen is the individual will have an insight, he will have a rational, he will have a way of thinking, he will have a new approach. That then comes into departments and functions. If he is senior enough, he is able to influence, then he can make this happen. And when this happens and cross-functional work happens, that's when the organization goal is achieved. So largely the process of strategy deployment and the process of capability development are exactly reverse of each other. So since these two processes are reverse of each other, it's very important to understand that and be able to align your capability development objectives that way. So if some organization says that we are going to increase our growth by 20%, so let's do a bunch of training programs on how do you increase growth. It doesn't happen like that. First and foremost, you should have a battery of programs running on various aspects throughout the years, which actually trains your people in a particular way of thinking. When that happens, whether that's growth, whether that's depth of expertise, whether that's leveraging technology available from other sources into your products, whether that's innovation, these have to be a series of constant work happening, which then culminates into the organizational objectives being met. So what are those 3 or 4 things, therefore? I have often seen the lack of good indicators for capability development is one of the reasons. So what happens in a functional skills program? So what's very important is that if someone goes through a functional skills program, he should be able to do the job well, or he should be able to do a job better than what he is doing now. What happens is someone goes through behavioral programs. The individual should be able to build the culture of the organization. He should be a part of the culture change. What happens if someone goes through a managerial development program? He should be able to deliver predictable results. And what happens if someone goes through a leadership program? The individual should be able to deliver growth and sustainability. Now, there are ways in which an individual can link whatever workshops, whatever programs, whatever continuous development initiatives to the organization. So therefore, instead of saying a functional skills program or a behavioral development program or a managerial development program, I would definitely like to say that one must look at workshops in a way or continuous programs which focus on doing the job well. And don't call it a functional skills program. Call it doing the job well. When you're looking at that, it's a matter of continuous improvement, so one can just keep going on and on. Don't call behavioral programs. Say these are culture building workshops. So the measure is very simple. Has the organization culture improved or not over time? There can be an external benchmark to that. Third, don't call managerial development programs. It has got no meaning. What you say is these are programs which help you deliver predictable results, whether it be at a team level, individual level, or at an organizational level. And fourth, there should be nothing called leadership program. There should be programs which are focused on growth and sustainability of the organization. Now, no point having a program or a leadership program or a continuous intervention which doesn't deliver any of these 4 things. Don't do those. Don't do those general team building where people go out and do rock climbing and then come back hugging each other, and the next day nothing happens. Obviously, none of these actually happened. So focus on doing the job well, focus on the culture, focus on delivering predictable results, and focus on growth and sustainability of the organization. Now, the other aspect, which I've always said, is that while these are the 4 or 5 types of constant improvement and constant workshops which can keep on, or not workshops, rather constant interventions which can keep on going on. These are 4 tracks which keep on going on in the organization for every individual across the levels. The question is, how do you measure it? So the measurement criteria that I propose always to my clients is to not base it on the number of training days. There's nothing more faulty than that. So what should it happen? One of the measurements is that the rate of increase of cost, the cost increase should be lesser than rate of increase of revenue. If this doesn't happen, the capability development in the organization is failing. Next, the ratio of working capital to the cost in an organization should be constantly going down. So that doesn't mean that your cost goes up, but your working capital goes down. Third, we look at an increase in net worth over years. Preferably, the ratio of increase of net worth should keep on increasing. So if last year was 10%, this year should be 12%, next year should be 14%. Yes, these are big numbers, but still, at least there has to be an increase in the net worth. And profit before tax should keep on increasing. If these 4 parameters are in control, your strategy will be in place, your organization will be in place, your organization capability building will be in place. The fundamental reason why I have seen issues coming up is that very early managers start looking at a departmental view. So if someone says that yes, we have to launch 4 new products, the sales department says, oh God, we are already stretched. How do we do it? The product development department says that we have already got 14 pending projects. Now here comes 4 more. The departmental view really kills the organization. So the departmental view should be, as far as possible, changed from departmental to a functional view. And the function has to have one of these KRAs going with it, which can constantly drive the organization. And as the capability building in the organization improves, my feel is that you'll have more and more people who can do much better work in the organization. And that will, over a period of 2 years, show fundamental level of change in the way work happens in that organization. And the second reason why capability development doesn't happen is incapable people in charge of capability development and HR people taking charge of capability development instead of strategy people. So I believe very strongly that capability development is an organizational strategy. It might rest under the banner of HR, it might rest under the banner of strategy, but the important thing, or perhaps also directly report to CEO's office, but the very critical thing is that an organizational development or capability building is it's a part of a sustainable initiative, and sustainability, if you see, is a part of leadership and growth. Here we saw that. So when we are talking of capability development and aligning capability development with organization goals, it's very important to be able to realize this and identify exactly what you're trying to do, put a right measure to it, put the right people, not the incapable people. You cannot learn from a teacher who's not more competent than you. So that's a very fundamental thing. And once this bit of it is in place, I think over a period of 2 years, you will see a significant improvement in the capability development in an organization. It's not about giving it time, but it's largely about doing the right things at the right time.